As Africa's leading defence news portal, DefenceWeb aims to give you the latest updates on African defence, the South African National Defence Force and the defence industry. In this week's edition on the continent, France's UFAST launches a Senegalese patrol boat, the Haas interceptors are delivered to Nigeria, Gazelle helicopters are delivered to the Mozambican Air Force, and Dyck Advisory Group will investigate after Amnesty says it shot at civilians in Mozambique. In SANDF news, Finance Minister nixes Defence Committee budget recommendations, Midlife upgrades for SA Navy platforms are on hold pending funding, and soldiers seize 18 million rands worth of smuggled cigarettes. In industry news, the UAE orders Seeker 400 UAVs for its presidential guard. Denel announces the resignation of its CFO in the latest management exit. The Joint Standing Committee on Defence highlights the woeful state of the local defence industry, and the Special Investigating Unit is investigating Denel over an irregular contract with Telspace Systems and misappropriation of intellectual property, and is looking at recovering some of the money paid by Denel to VR laser services. In African defence news, France UFAST launches Senegalese patrol boat. France's UFAST shipyard has launched a 33-meter patrol boat for Senegal with delivery scheduled for the end of March. The vessel, named Tayoe, was launched in Quimper on the 12th of February. It is undergoing sea trials and UFAST is providing training for the crew. Once in Senegal, it will be operated on behalf of the High Authority for Maritime Security, Maritime Safety and Marine Environment by the Senegalese Navy. In 2018, France's Raidco Marine received an order from Senegal for the delivery of 2 more RPB-33 patrol boats after the shipyard delivered a single RPB-33 in 2013. Both vessels are being built at Radco's UFAST shipyard. The Haas interceptors delivered to Nigeria. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, has received more DHM 1050 interceptor boats from Haas Maluas in the Netherlands for its Deep Blue Maritime Security Project. NIMASA Director General / CEO Bashir Jamal on the 27th of February tweeted photos of the interceptors being uploaded, saying, "From 1 to Lagos, we are counting down the deployment day. Our fast-moving interceptor boats will be crucial for interdiction purposes." In February 2020, NIMASA Executive Director Operations Rotimi Fashakin said that 10 fast interceptor boats had been delivered and 7 more will arrive later in the year. 2 special mission aircraft, 2 helicopters, 4 unmanned aerial vehicles, and 16 armored vehicles are also being acquired. The DHM 1050 boats are 10.45 meters long and fitted with triple 300 horsepower Yamaha outboard motors, giving a top speed of nearly 60 knots and a payload of 2,000 kgs. They are fitted with 10 passenger seats in the front of the pilot station. Gazelles delivered to Mozambique Air Force. 2 Gazelle helicopters, apparently supplied by Paramount Group, have been observed to have joined the Mozambican Air Force as efforts to fight the Islamist insurgency in Capital Delgado continue. It is understood that the Gazelles form part of a larger number of helicopter platforms provided by Paramount to the Mozambican government. 2 ex-British Army Gazelles were seen at Nacala Airport in Mozambique in February this year, painted in green and brown camouflage, the same as the Mozambican Air Force's Mi-24/25/35 attack helicopters, which are apparently all withdrawn from use or in storage. Dyck Advisory Group to investigate after Amnesty says it shot at civilians in Mozambique. A South African private military firm will hire outside lawyers to look into its activities in Mozambique, it said, after Amnesty International accused it of firing indiscriminately on civilians while helping the government fight an insurgency. In a report issued on the 2nd of March, Amnesty accused both the government and the insurgents of war crimes against civilians, including killings, dismemberment, torture, and abductions. More than 500,000 people have been displaced and hundreds killed in Mozambique's Capital Delgado region since the Islamist insurgents launched an insurgency in 2017. The government has hired South African private military firm Dyck Advisory Group to help it fight the Al-Sana wa Jamaat insurgents, locally known as Al-Shabaab, who have declared their allegiance to the Islamic State. Mozambique has previously denied accusations that its soldiers had committed atrocities, saying killings blamed on government forces were carried out by Islamist insurgents impersonating troops. In SANDF news, Finance Minister nixes Defence Committee budget recommendations. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni has shut down calls by the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans for more funding for border security, the Special Defence Account, and Midlife upgrade of SA Navy vessels. In the 2021 budget review published on the 24th of February, the Minister responded to the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans Budgetary Review and Recommendations report. The committee had recommended the Minister of Finance consider an additional ring-fenced allocation plan to gradually increase the number of subunits from 15 to at least 22 subunits for border safeguarding by the SANDF. This increase will assist the SANDF in countering cross-border crime and adhering to its legislative function to effect national border control. National Treasury responded by stating that border security remains a government priority. Over the 2021 medium-term expenditure framework period, 3.2 billion rand is earmarked to safeguard borders. As noted earlier, there is little scope to provide additional funding at this time, and fiscal constraints require departments to identify opportunities for reprioritization. Midlife upgrades for SA Navy platforms on hold pending funding, says Armscor. The midlife upgrades of SA Navy prime mission equipment, its frigates and submarines, are at concept and feasibility study phases, with further progress on hold according to Armscor. In its latest annual report, the state-owned Defence and Security Acquisition Agency has that the project to upgrade the 4 Valor-class frigates is in the concept phase that commenced in February 2016. No dates are given as regards upgrades for the 3 Heroine-class Type 209 submarines, for which feasibility studies are complete with a recommended approach defined. This has been approved by the SA Navy. The acquisition and implementation phase of the program was due to commence after completion and acceptance of recommendations in the project study report. Due to the reduction in the Department of Defence capital budget, no further funds exist in the short term to continue the project, and all further activities are suspended, the 2019/20 report states. Soldiers seize 18 million rand worth of smuggled cigarettes. The seizure and subsequent search of an 18-meter truck/trailer rig transporting millions of rands worth of illegal cigarettes at the Beitbridge port of entry by soldiers is a further indication of the size and value of the South African illegal cigarette market. An SANDF debrief of border operations in the Mosina area during the second half of February brought to light the high incidence of cigarette smuggling into South Africa from Zimbabwe. A statement from base headquarters in the border town has it that soldiers confiscated cigarettes from undocumented persons carrying mostly cartons as well as from bakkies, cartons and master boxes, and the motherlode of smuggled cigarettes for the month. The massive haul was found in the covered load bay of the 18-meter truck. Following its tip-off, inside the load bay, soldiers found hundreds of boxes. Inspection and a lengthy count showed 226 master boxes with 61,300 cartons of cigarettes, valued at over 16.363 million rand. The massive haul of illegal cigarettes was handed to the customs divisions of the SA Revenue Services for further investigation and disposal. And in industry news, UAE orders Seeker 400 UAVs for its presidential guard. The United Arab Emirates Armed Forces has ordered a Seeker 400 unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV system for the presidential guard. The order was announced by Staff Brigadier General Mohammed Al Hassani on the first day of the International Defence Exhibition in Abu Dhabi on the 21st of February. The contract is worth 204 million rand. Denel announces resignation of CFO in latest management exit. Denel said on the 1st of March that Chief Financial Officer Carmen Lagrange has resigned, extending a series of resignations that has deepened a crisis at the struggling firm. The company did not give a reason for the resignation. Denel depends on government bailouts and has faced liquidity problems that have been aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Denel's board chair, Montla Hlala, resigned the previous week, and the same week that the company announced that a handful of other members of the board of directors had departed. Joint Standing Committee on Defence highlights woeful state of local defence industry. The declining defence budget and the poor state of Denel are having a negative impact on the South African defence industry. Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defence has said in a committee report dated 26th of February, the committee explained the state of the South African defence industry after engagements with the National Conventional Arms Control Committee, Armscor, Denel, the National Defence Industry Council, and the South African Defence Industry, represented by Aerospace, Maritime and Defence Industries Association. It said one of the biggest challenges facing the defence industry in SA is the declining defence budget and its subsequent negative impact. The defence budget shortfall means that the SANDF cannot modernise through the acquisition of equipment and systems, while maintenance, repair and overhaul is also falling behind. The fact that the Special Defence Account, which is designed for the SANDF's weapons acquisition and long-term research and development projects, is being phased out is one of the main reasons for this situation. The 2015 Defence Review expressed itself strongly on this situation and derived milestones to address this decline, with the intention of milestone 1 being to arrest the decline in critical capabilities through immediate and direct interventions. against the background that the implementation of the 2015 Defence Review cannot be funded, and only non-cost interventions can be implemented to arrest the decline. South Africa will have to agree to significantly reduced levels of defence ambition for the future. If these factors are taken together with the view of the security for defence that without urgent proper support, the industry would implode and even lose the maintenance, repair and overall capabilities, it underscores the perilous situation facing our country, the committee said. SIU investigating Denel over a irregular contract with Telspace Systems. The Special Investigating Unit, SIU, is investigating former Denel officials for their role in an irregular contract with information security company, Telspace Systems. Briefing the Standing Committee on Public Accounts on the 3rd of March, SIU lead investigator Zodwa Sizibe said the contract with Telspace Systems and Denel did not follow any formal procurement/competitive bidding process. The company was hired to test the vulnerability of IT systems within Denel to outside hacking. The SIU found the process to appoint Telspace Systems was irregular as there was no tender advert and no tender procurement process followed. It was a gentleman's agreement, Zibe said. There was a middleman who acted as a nodal point between Denel and Telspace. As a result, an engagement later that was entered into. Denel made a 70% advance payment of 4.6 million rand. After providing Denel with some of its security threat findings, Telspace demanded the 30% outstanding payment, and when Denel demanded all Telspace funding without further payment, Telspace launched a civil claim against Denel for 1.9 million rand. Sesibe said Telspace was willing to settle and walk away from the civil claim. We advised Denel to settle because they do not have money to pay legal fees to fight the case, she said. Sesibe said the SIU has evidence against the former group CEO on Public Finance Management Act contravention and is looking at gathering more evidence. All employees implicated in the investigation have left Denel, but the SIU is pursuing criminal and civil recoveries. SIU investigating misappropriation of IP at Denel. The SIU is looking at the serious crime of misappropriation of intellectual property by Denel, which apparently sent missile data packs to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. With regard to the misappropriation of IP, the SIU said this was done criminally to abet foreign state companies, namely Saudi Arabia Military Industries, SAMI, and Burridge Dynamics in the UAE. With regards to the SAMI investigation, the SIU findings confirms that certain data packs that belongs to Denel's Dynamics were unlawfully downloaded from Denel's servers to other devices. These data packs are for Mkonto, Ngwe, and Makoba missiles. A data pack is a list of documents and drawings relating to the project. Depending on its contents, a data pack could include the full set of blueprints and specifications to enable someone to produce something themselves. Sesibe said the SAMI group was interested in certain South African missiles and forwarded a business proposal to Denel for those missiles. Subsequent to that business proposal, a meeting was arranged between Denel and SAMI, and it took place on the 19th of February 2018. The same meeting collapsed due to SAMI's failure to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which was a condition before any information could be shared. Instructions were later given to junior members to download information, and information was shared with SAMI, the SIU said, adding that 3 former senior officials, including the Denel Dynamics CEO, resigned and joined SAMI and are implicated in the process. The SIU, National Prosecuting Authority, and Hawks are trying to retrieve all information from companies and institutions, Sesibe said. There are 5 criminal referrals possible in the instance. We intend to invoke extradition treaties for them to face charges in the Republic of South Africa, she said. SIU looking at recovering some of the money paid by Denel to VR Laser Services. The SIU is looking at recovering some of the funds paid by Denel to VR Laser Services following the irregular awarding of contracts to the company. Denel's relationship with steel cutting and armored vehicle fabrication specialist VR Laser Services and the subsequent establishment of Denel Asia with VR Laser is one of the most controversial and damaging to Denel. It was one of the Gupta companies that was involved in Denel at the time, Sesibe said. Parliamentarians heard that Denel commissioned Ngidi Business Advisory to review the process followed by Denel, and the conclusion of a memorandum of agreement entered into between itself and VR Laser Services on 19th of May 2015. According to the April 2018 report, VR Laser was appointed as the single source supplier to Denel Land Systems for the provision of all fabricated steel services and goods, such as fabricated structures and halls. The process was found to be fraught with irregularities and accordingly, any spending pursuant thereto constituted irregular expenditure. It was further alleged alleged that some of the executives at Denel were conflicted, the SIU said. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our daily and weekly newsletter, and our other social media platforms if you enjoyed the webcast. Leave your comments below. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.